Beneath the blazing sun of the Atlas, Marrakech conceals a labyrinth older than the city itself, a mesh of stone and shadow humming with rites no historian dares record. For the city is not merely a market of spices and tiles, but a cipher of energies channeled by the Crimson Circle, an order predating dynasties, its influence stretching like invisible threads into the courts of the unseen elite. Every alley, riad, and mosaic carries the resonance of their ceremonies, etched in sacred geometry and patterns only the initiated can read, bending the perception of unknowing wanderers. Beneath the sun-bleached walls lies a network of hidden corridors and vaulted chambers lined with obsidian mirrors and sand mixed with ash, where the Crimson Circle summons, binds, and channels ancient desert spirits, the Djinn, as instruments of psychic dominion. Their ceremonies, choreographed with lunar cycles and star alignments, map the desert into a living constellation of power, connecting the city to the ambitions of a global elite, their identities cloaked in bloodlines, offices, and merchants' networks. Rituals begin in silence, drums echoing through subterranean halls, acolytes tracing sigils in dust and blood, both conduit and lock, protecting knowledge while transmitting coded messages across continents, where parallel ceremonies unfold in perfect symmetry, shaping perception, memory, and will. Marrakech's energy flows not just in living flesh, but in the resonant memory of space itself. Every courtyard, fountain, and stone holding fragments of emotion and devotion, a psychic current the elite harness to steer the world. Beneath saffron and incense, while tourists barter and snake charmers sway, the city vibrates with invisible hierarchies, its veins alive with ritualized energy. The Crimson Circle trains acolytes from childhood, drawing them from bloodlines steeped in desert knowledge, teaching them to read the currents that ripple through air, stone, and water, encoding destiny through subtle orchestration that bends the world while leaving outsiders oblivious. From the Medina to distant capitals, each ritual, glyph, and chant forms a node in a grand network of occult influence. Marrakech as the central pulse, a living sigil of control where desert spirits, sacred geometry, and elite ambition collide, shaping the fates of nations, the hearts of men, and the very course of history. Even as the city resists, its elemental forces demanding precision and blood, the Crimson Circle's orchestration endures, aligning stars, summoning spirits, and encoding destiny, ensuring the Red City remains not just a place, but a living, breathing conduit of power, a hidden heart of a world that believes itself free, yet moves to the rhythm of the circle, unseen yet omnipresent, forever influencing, forever alive. Beneath the bustling squares and towering minarets, Marrakech's surface conceals corridors and chambers where the Crimson Circle conducts rituals that few would recognize as anything but folklore. Beneath the Jima Elfna, hidden stairways descend into vaulted riads lined with blackened tiles and obsidian mirrors, their surfaces etched with sigils that encode the language of the desert spirits, glyphs that speak to those trained to see, to those who understand the resonance of stone and sand. Here, initiates trace patterns with ash and blood, forming the sacred geometry that channels psychic currents, aligning with celestial nodes far beyond Morocco, connecting Marrakech invisibly to distant citadels, where the circle's counterparts perform synchronized rites, a network spanning deserts, mountains, and oceans. Each chant, each measured breath, is a node in this living lattice of influence, a precise orchestration of energy that the elite harness to steer perception, memory, and even the flow of events in the wider world. The circle's sigils act as both language and lock, protecting the knowledge from outsiders while transmitting codes to global acolytes, their influence flowing silently into financial centers, political capitals, and hidden academies of arcane knowledge. Even the Medina itself participates. Fountains, courtyards, and alleyways pulse with stored memory, the emotional residue of centuries of devotion, sacrifice, and desire vibrating through the stones, ready to be drawn upon in the ceremonies. Marrakech is no ordinary city. It is a metaphysical amplifier where the elites will, filtered through the desert thrones. The Crimson Circle's highest council can subtly bend reality, shaping human thought and the destiny of nations, all under the guise of everyday life. And yet the desert spirits demand obedience and precision, their power older and more inscrutable than any human ambition, reminding all who serve the circle that while Marrakech may be the pulse of their influence, it is also an untamed force, a living nexus where blood, sand, and spirit converge, forever bridging the hidden rituals of the city with the vast architecture of global dominion. Deep beneath the city's sun-drenched streets, beyond the perfumed alleyways and the laughter of markets, Marrakech reveals its most hidden heart, a network of chambers and corridors where the Crimson Circle's true work unfolds, far removed from the eyes of tourists or scholars. Here, beneath centuries of stone and tile, rites older than dynasties are enacted, each movement, each chant, precisely aligned with the stars and lunar cycles, designed to awaken, bind, and channel the desert spirits into the service of the circle's hidden ambitions. In these subterranean sanctums, initiates trace sigils in ash and blood, their gestures forming geometric lattices that do not merely decorate but encode reality itself, bending perception, memory, and the subtle currents of human will. The circle's influence is not confined to Marrakech. It radiates outward through invisible veins connecting distant nodes of power, hidden lodges in Europe, forgotten temples in the Sahara, sanctums within financial capitals, where their counterparts perform synchronized ceremonies, extending the city's pulse into the larger world, shaping markets, decisions, and even conflicts with a precision invisible to all but the initiated. The very stones of the Medina store the emotional resonance of centuries, the devotion, fear, and desire of countless generations, a living archive that the circle taps with ritualized intention, amplifying their influence and feeding the hidden agendas of the global elite who move through the world's corridors under the guise of diplomacy, scholarship, or commerce. Marrakech itself acts as a psychic amplifier. The city's geometry, fountains, courtyards, and walls align to channel and store energy, feeding the circle's manipulations, ensuring their rituals resonate far beyond Morocco, into places most would never suspect. Yet the desert spirits themselves are neither obedient nor forgiving. They demand precision, sacrifice, and recognition of their ancient authority. It is this interplay between human cunning and elemental power that makes Marrakech the perfect nexus for the circle's work, a living mechanism through which ambition, occult knowledge, and desert force converge. The Crimson Circle's highest council, the Desert Thrones, orchestrates these rites with meticulous care, ensuring that the city's pulse remains synchronized with a global lattice of influence, a network of ritual nodes spanning continents, where every ceremony in a hidden riad or vaulted chamber ripples outward, subtly directing thought, emotion, and events across the world. And so, while Marrakech appears to outsiders as a vibrant city of color, spice, and song, beneath its surface it is a metaphysical machine, a living sigil of power where the unseen elite, bound to the circle through bloodlines and secret oaths, orchestrate a hidden symphony of control, manipulating the currents of history itself, using the city as both conduit and amplifier, and leaving the uninitiated blissfully unaware of the vast, invisible web in which they, unknowingly, are entwined. Beneath the already hidden chambers and subterranean corridors of Marrakech, deeper still, exists a level so secret that few living souls have ever glimpsed it, a labyrinth of stone and sand where the Crimson Circle confronts not only desert spirits, but the very architecture of reality itself. Here, in vaulted halls lined with obsidian mirrors and glyphs traced in ash and human blood, the Circle performs their most forbidden rites, ceremonies that do not merely influence perception, but reshape it, bending memory, thought, and even destiny along the lines of geometric resonance encoded centuries before by the Circle's earliest initiates. The air is thick with incense and charged with energies older than the Atlas Mountains. Whispers of long-dead adepts echo faintly through the corridors, their knowledge folded into the lattice of the city, waiting for the correct alignment of stars, moons, and ritual intent to be reactivated. Each ritual at this level involves synchronization with distant nodes of power, lodges and sanctums in Europe, Asia, and the Sahara, where acolytes of the Crimson Circle perform mirrored ceremonies, forming a planetary network of occult influence whose currents can subtly bend human events. Wars, financial collapses, revolutions, and elections are all tuned to the invisible rhythms emanating from the Red City. Within these deepest sanctums, the Circle manipulates the resonant memory of space itself, drawing on centuries of emotional and psychic imprint. Fear, devotion, love, and despair are harvested and woven into living sigils, which, when combined with celestial alignment, produce currents of force capable of altering the trajectory of entire nations. It is said that the Desert Thrones, the highest council of the Crimson Circle, orchestrates these rites with terrifying precision. Their members chosen from the bloodlines most steeped in desert knowledge, trained to sense and guide the subtle energies that flow through stone, water, and air, shaping the lives of the unaware outside the city as though the world were a living chessboard. Here, in these halls, the Djinn are not myth, but instruments. Bound and awakened by ritual, their power channeled to amplify the will of the Circle and, by extension, the global elite who, through hidden allegiances and encoded knowledge, direct the symphony of civilization from the shadows. The geometry of the city, from the angles of minarets to the layout of alleyways, is a precise map of energy, a sigil written in stone that, when activated, channels the power of the desert into networks of influence spanning continents. Their lines invisible to the eye, but palpable to those who can read the resonance. Every fountain, courtyard, and mosaic becomes part of this system. Even the steps of ordinary citizens, unknowingly echoing in the Medina, feed the currents of the Circle's design. Yet these forces are volatile, ancient, and untamable. The spirits of the desert demand obedience, precision, and blood, punishing the arrogant and rewarding only those who respect the hidden laws. Marrakech, therefore, is not merely a city, not merely a marketplace or a cultural jewel. It is a living, breathing crucible of metaphysical control, a nexus where human ambition, desert forces, and the will of a hidden elite converge, orchestrated by the Crimson Circle in a ceaseless, eternal ritual whose effects ripple across time and space, shaping the unseen architecture of power and destiny in ways the world outside the red walls could never imagine. At the very heart of Marrakech, beneath the red walls that bleed their color into the desert sun, lies the ultimate sanctum of the Crimson Circle, a place where stone, sand, and shadow converge into a single, pulsating nexus of power, a chamber hidden so deeply that even the city itself seems unaware of its existence. Yet every vibration, every breath, every footstep in the Medina above echoes faintly in the sanctum, contributing to the intricate lattice of ritual resonance that the Circle has, perfected over centuries. Here, in vaulted halls lined with obsidian mirrors, mosaics etched in blood and ash, and hidden conduits carved into the bedrock, the Circle performs its most profound ceremonies, invoking the Djinn not as myth, but as conscious instruments, whose presence bends memory, perception, and even the currents of destiny, linking Marrakech invisibly to every other node of occult power scattered across the Sahara, the Mediterranean, and the hidden lodges of Europe and Asia, forming a planetary web of influence that can subtly orchestrate wars, markets, revolutions, and the choices of those who hold the world in their hands, while the uninitiated remain blind to its existence. The Desert Thrones, the supreme council of the Crimson Circle, governs these rites with a precision born of centuries of secrecy, selecting their acolytes from the bloodlines steeped in desert knowledge, teaching them to read the resonant memory of space, to see the vibrations of stones, tiles, and courtyards, to feel the currents of thought and emotion that ripple through the city and beyond, bending these invisible energies to a deliberate design that ensures both the continuity of the circle and the obedience of the global elite who, bound to these rites through lineage, allegiance, or debt, unknowingly serve the same metaphysical lattice that Marrakech has encoded into the very geometry of its streets, fountains, and minarets. Each ritual is a symphony of movement, chant, and celestial alignment, forming sigils in time and space that encode intention, emotion, and influence into a living pattern, the network of which stretches beyond the city to the far corners of the earth, invisible yet omnipresent, where decisions of immense consequence, governments toppled, markets redirected, revolutions seeded or suppressed, flow along currents of energy initiated beneath the red walls of Marrakech, amplified by the resonance of the desert and guided by the meticulous will of the circle.